On this week's show, we're going to be looking at the final charge for the playoffs. The wheels have fallen off at Warrington, and we're going to be checking in with the GB Pioneers.
So welcome to the Rugby League Outsiders Set of Six. It's our weekly news show where we share the good, the great and noteworthy of Rugby League from outside the heartlands. Let's get into it. Right, before we get into it, as always, we've picked out 5 interesting news stories plus the Williams leak of this week. But before we do that, we've just got to announce that this show has picked up a new sponsor. Karl, talk to us a little bit about Your Club Stash.
Your Club Stash create kits, merchandise, training wear, everything you need for a rugby league club and other sports. We've been speaking to the guys for quite a number of weeks to sort of put this together. And there's going to be a lot more details coming in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, if you're a grassroots rugby league club and you're looking for a new kit for next season, you're looking for new stash, you're looking for even shit shirt and bucket hats, Craig, they've got absolutely everything, aren't they?
Yeah, they have. So they're sort of one of their USPs is the fact that they want even a grassroots club to have like a Man U. I know we don't often speak about that sport in here, but a Man U style club shop, you know, for every grassroots club. So very ambitious, but they seem to have everything lined up to do that. So more on that a little bit later on.
I just want to say before we go into the first tackle, but these guys really care as well. It's not a huge company where you're going to be speaking to, emailing somebody, you might not get a reply. These guys are on it, 2 to 4 week turnaround time on the kit. So, it's basically their strap line is, it's made for the players, by the players, and the guys who run the company are fully invested in it.
Right, let's get into it. Tackle 1, and the Super League is proper hotting up. Okay, some big games again this week, and the RFL have come up with their campaign for the run-up to the playoffs, and it is the final charge.
Yeah, the final charge. So I just thought we'd have a little look at what we think is going to be the top 6 for the playoffs. And there's some interesting games to come up in the next couple of weeks. There's teams hitting form at the minute. Leeds are on form. Saints are hitting form. Wigan dipped, but they really performed well this week. And then you've got the really interesting mix, which we have spoken about before, down the bottom of the 6 for the push for the playoffs. I think Warrington, we can pretty say, are out of the phrase now, aren't they? So you got Wakefield and Hull FC pushing for the 6th position. So yeah, I thought we would look at the top teams and who they still have to play and see if we can figure out where we think the table is going to end up.
Right. Okay. I mean, this is no tough ask really, because
no,
there's some. I mean, for example, Leeds beating Hull KR this weekend. I mean, a lot of people thought that was Hull KR's match, you know what I mean? Yeah. And Leeds didn't stand a chance, and there's been a couple of results like that. So, I'm intrigued to get into this. Also, thanks for the warning that I'm going to, come up with my top 6. So
I told you before.
Glad I've had some preparation.
Right, so should we start at the top or should we start at the bottom? Which way around we're going to go?
Whichever it says on your mad notes that you got there.
Right, we'll just go through the Super League table then. KR are top, 38 points. Wigan are on 34 points in second. You got Saints and Leeds both on 32 points. Lee Leopards in 5th on 31 points. And then you got Hull FC on 25 points and Wakefield on 24 points just behind them.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll start at the top because I think the top's more cemented in it. So Hull KR, currently top of the shop. They've got to play Saints, Hull FC, Wakefield and Warrington. For me, they only need to pick up a couple of wins and they'll secure that top spot. I think Hull KR are going to pick up the League Leaders Shield. I can't see any other way.
No, I completely agree with that. I mean, you'd sort of say they're probably guaranteed 4 points unless things go wrong. Potentially 6 points.
I think they're going to pick up 6 points and finish on 44 points and pick up the League Leaders Shield. That's where I've got them sitting.
Yeah, well, I think There's a freak loss here, another freak loss. I think the wheels are coming off a little bit. OKR.
Be careful what you say about OKR, mate.
We're going to talk about that in the viewers' mailbag later on. But they've got like 3 significant injuries from this week alone. Artem Org's out. Suasisu is out, hamstring injury, and there's someone else I can't remember. So they've got 3 sort of significant players out. They've been running at such a high level for so long. You know what I mean? And everybody was kind of saying, like, how long can they maintain this? Redlining it constantly. And I think they're getting a little dip. Now, I don't think it's bad enough that they're not going to finish top. I think they've got the League Leaders Shield. As long as they screw the nut and crack on, they're going to get that, in my opinion. I think the guaranteed 4 points, there's a potential to pick up 6 points. I don't know if they're going to win against Saints this weekend.
Right.
So,
the race for second then, that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Wigan currently second at the minute on 34 points. But Wigan have got to play Catalan, Saints, Cass and Leeds. So Saints and Leeds against Wigan are 2 massive games.
Yeah, I completely agree. And in current form over the last 6, it could go. Catalan is slightly different, right? We've got 2 points there, haven't we?
Right, I think you go right. Wigan, they're going to pick up 4 points definitely, and then it's a maybe between 6 to 8 points. So it could go either way against Saints, could go either way against Leeds, depending on how they perform. I've got Wigan finishing on 40 points though.
Right.
I've made a prediction that I think they're going to get 6 points. That'll put them on 40 points and probably secure second place.
Yeah. Can we just cut all this out? And I don't think there's going to be much change, like top 3 or 4. I know it spoils your little.
You say that, but you haven't seen who the rest of the teams are playing yet.
Let's do it then. Let's go.
Right, Saints have got KR, Wigan, Lee, and Cass.
Yeah.
Leeds have got Hull FC, Huddersfield, Catalan, and Wigan. This is why I told you we should look at it. There's Leeds. I potentially could pick up 8 points there.
Yeah,
I think they could well get a win against FC. Huddersfield, I expect them to win. I expect them to win against Catalan, and then Wigan is a roll of the dice game. So Leeds could finish on 40 points,
as well.
Same as what I've predicted Wigan finish on.
Yeah.
So it goes down to points difference. I ain't dug that far into points difference.
What about Saints then? So Saints have got Hull KR, Wigan, League, Cass.
Yeah. So you're going to say, I'd say they're going to pick up 4 points.
So currently on 32. So talk me through the points there then. So KR, win or loss?
Well, I've got 2 games 50-50. I think 2 of them they're gonna win.
Yeah, so that's the Lee and the Cass.
I think Lee are going to pick. I think Saints are going to pick up 6 points.
Where?
I think they'll beat Cass.
Beat Cass.
Potentially beat Lee, and then KR or Wigan. I think they'll win one of them.
I don't know about that.
Well,
I know Saints are. They're incredible. They've really hit form, haven't they? Owen Dagnall's out. Whether it's just 1 week or whatever, he's injured. And I know we always talk about like one player, but Frenchie's back made a massive difference to the Wigan side, didn't it?
Yeah.
And so.
All right. Well,
I don't know.
Let's go on to Lee then.
I think 4 points for Saints.
Let's go on to the Leopards then.
Yeah.
Cass, Wire, Saints, and Huddersfield. They've got.
Yeah.
I say they're picking up 6 points.
I agree with that.
And one's a 50-50, the one at the game I've said again.
So that'll give them 37 points.
I think Lee are staying where they are, yeah?
So we think Hull KR, Wigan Leeds joint second.
Wigan or Leeds second/third.
Yeah.
Saints fourth. Lee fifth. Who you got for sixth?
I'd love it to be Wakey.
It'll be Wakefield. I think it'll be Wakefield. As well as Hull FC are playing, Hull FC have got the harder running. So FC have got Leeds, KR, Wire and Catalan. I can see them picking up 4 points definitely. 50-50 on the other two though.
Yeah, 100%.
Whether they beat Leeds or Hull KR.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Then Trinity, I've got Huddersfield, Cass, KR and Salford picking up at least 6 points.
And that'll just take them 1 point ahead of Hull.
It's close, isn't it?
It's very close. Who's to say there's not a golden point score in there somewhere? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
it's like...
But all the games we predicted are where we think teams are going to finish, but actually there's a load of games there that are 50-50s, aren't there, which we've said. So there'll be some shocks in there. There'll be one of those teams that'll go on a run and won't lose and it could be Saints, it could be Leeds. But then there'll be another team in there who'll probably slip up one or two that we're not expecting them to. So it's going to be really tight going into the playoffs.
But I think the team that could have a couple of little slip ups is Hull KR, isn't it? They are all but unreachable.
But they're still going to remain league leaders. Yeah. They're too far ahead now to not pick up that league leaders trophy. Looking at it's going to be really interesting looking at the form though when we actually start hitting the playoffs, and I think home advantage is going to be really important. So you want to be finishing that top two definitely. The race for second is the one that's incredibly tight.
Yeah, and some of that's going to boil down to other people's results as well.
Yeah, and just the fact that most of those teams are all playing each other in the next 4 weeks.
Right, so yeah, definitely this is the final charge, and that's it. So to summarise then, we've got Hull KR storming it to the League Leaders Shield.
Yeah.
And then a fight out between Wigan and Leeds for second place, third place.
Yeah.
And that really is going to boil down to potentially points difference. So everything to play for. I didn't have a look at that before we come on air, so I don't know how that'll finish up if they end up on the same points. Too much or too late for Saints. We think they're going to end up in fourth place, despite a last-minute charge in the back end of the season. Closely followed by Lee, who's just not got enough potential or points to get them into that top four. And then the fight out for sixth place. Do you know what? I would have both these teams in the top six. I think they both deserve to be. Hull FC because of where they were last year.
Yeah.
And what an amazing story to get into the top six this year. And Wakey because, by God, this year they have just overperformed. I think I think I'm fair to say by their expectations. So either one of them two. However, we think it will be Wakey that takes the cherry, purely because of that tight points difference that it is right now and the run-in for the back end of the season. So, really, really interesting finish. This is definitely the final charge for so many teams.
Do you know what, though? Hasn't it been a great season? I know we've had the Salford situation. We've had some terrible scores down the bottom end of the table. But actually, the top 6-7 teams, we've had some great fixtures this year. And just looking at I think that's probably one of the closest running we've had on the playoffs, certainly for that second, third, fourth positions, I think, that we've had in years. And I just think it's really exciting. I can't wait for the playoffs. I think picking a winner at this moment in time for the grand final is impossible, I think.
When you think about like years gone by where there were like 3 or 4 teams just dominated,
yeah,
you know what I mean? You've only got to look at the number of actual, different teams that have lifted the trophy at the grand final. Right, there's not many. It's not many, but all of a sudden we've got
3,
new. Yeah, we've got new 4 with Bradford, is it? We've got new with just staking their claim, top of the table team.
You can make I can make a claim for any of those teams that could win the grand final this year. Like Hull KR had a brilliant season, entertaining rugby all year long. Of course they can win the grand final.
Especially with Tyrone May in the team.
We'll go back to them comments later on. Wigan, obviously, they've not been quite the team they were last year, but they're still second in the table. And you know as well as I do, once we get to playoffs, we'll see Wigan's best rugby. St Helens have had a bit of an up and down season, but they've gone under the radar, now sitting in third.
Do you know, I won't call it up and down. I'd call it like started down and has just been on this gradual increase, improving.
Yeah.
And now, they've
now playing some of the best rugby. Yeah. And I think if Paul Wellens gets his team selection sorted, still don't think he knows, they're in with a real chance of winning the grand final. Leeds Rhinos have got so much better in the last 6 months. They've got better and better and better. Certainly the last few weeks. Could easily make a case for them winning the grand final. Lee, I'd say a little bit outsiders, but that's the tag that Lee Leopards like. When everybody writes them off, they are the side who'll come in and, well, look at the beaten Wigan twice this year. They can do it as well, so it wouldn't surprise me if they go on a run in the playoffs. Hull FC or Wakefield, I think they'll make the 6. I don't think either of them two are going to trouble for the grand final, though. So, yeah, what a great end to the season.
Brilliant. Okay, right. Great start to the show as well, Karl. Right, so let's move on then. Tackle number 2, and a little bit of news coming out, released by the Australian papers, talking about Lewis Dodd and how much it would actually cost for a side to sign him. And we're not just talking about an NRL side, we're also talking about Super League as well. And chances are that somebody could get a real steal here. And Lewis Dodd won't be out of pocket either.
Well, one of the Super League teams, they're still going to have to pay marquee money for him, though, because his value has gone up so much. So the figures that have been blasted around at the minute, so he's still got 2 years on his contract, 650,000 Aussie dollars, which is about 310,000 pounds UK sterling. So if he comes out of his contract, well, if he comes to the Super League, the Rabbitohs are going to pay $250,000 towards his contract. So that's massive, isn't it? But at the same time, it's still going to cost a Super League team a good chunk of money, definitely be a marquee signing. And we spoke last week about where he might end up. We sort of blasted Catalan around, which was just...
Yeah, we just thought, where would he fit? Where would he go?
Yeah.
You know, who had space on the roster? Who needs a bit of a...
Who needs a halfback? Yeah, well, all that Rugby League, they've reported that likelihood is that Catalan are front runners to get Lewis Dodd. So, do you think he fits into that team well?
Oh, no, this team is all over the place.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Like, there's a massive. They're already making signings.
Yeah,
A couple of signings released. You know, they're picking up some signings now as Tompkins starts to put his team together and put his stamp on that side. So in terms of like fitting into a side, like it doesn't really. That's not the criteria for me. What the criteria for me is, he'd signed an overseas contract, so he set himself up to be abroad for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. So to come back to the UK now, I don't know. You know, if there's ever a time to go to the south of France, it's now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because you've
definitely
already set yourself up and your family or whatever for 3 years in Oz. So to come back to the south of France, it's not that. Of course, it's massively different, but you get what I'm saying. Like you're already on the road.
So Rabbitohs need shut of him because they want to sign David Fafita, and they haven't got room on the cap at the minute until they let Lewis Dodd go. But if you was Lewis Dodd, would you want to be making the move, or would you still want to hang out in Australia and hope?
Mate, I don't want to be anywhere where I'm not wanted. Seriously, I don't think that's an environment for anybody to perform at the best. Knowing that you're not wanted, and it's all right saying, "Oh, well, I'll prove them wrong" and all that. He's not getting the opportunities.
Yeah.
So, you know, two things are true right now. One is he wants to be playing rugby. This isn't like Premier League football where they're happy to sit like £1 million a week or whatever the crazy they get to sit on a bench and do nothing. You know what I mean? This is Super League. They want to be playing. So he needs to be playing. So he'll make a move just to get on the pitch, I'm pretty sure. And the second thing is, you know, if you just know that people want you out and, you know, you're never going to get a fair crack at the whip. People just want a fair crack at the whip, don't they?
Yeah.
You can handle being shit. You know this. You can handle being shit.
Well, hang on.
You know,
take that back.
If you are given an opportunity and a fair crack at the whip, and he's not been given an opportunity to even show his form, or he hasn't done really. He's played 60-odd minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he ain't going to want to stay there, I'm pretty sure. And I think Catalan is like a soft landing for him, let's say. The only difference is he a Saints lad? Is he Saints born and bred? Because I'm just wondering if
think so.
If he could be classed as like a homegrown player at a team, like would that negate the problem of him being a marquee signing? Therefore, people would struggle to get him on their roster. I don't know how that would work. We could do like a friendly agent to explain these kind of things to us. But yeah, that's my only take on it. But I think Catalan is the only place really for him to go, in my opinion.
I'm just trying to think of any other teams that he might slip into.
I mean, Toulouse. He could go to Toulouse and drop out of the Super League. But whether they've got the money for it.
Well, Toulouse have a full-time team at the minute in the
That's
Championship.
what I'm saying.
Well, they did lose at the weekend to York, so...
But and aspirations as well, you know. So... Who knows?
Maybe. I'm looking forward to seeing him back,
Imagine going from Australia, a massive contract like that, to then Toulouse or a Championship side. I mean, that'd be a culture shock, wouldn't it?
It's not going to happen, is it? It's definitely going to be in Super League. Yeah. Anyway, Lewis Dodd on the move by the looks of it, and be interested to see where he lands.
Yeah, so we'll keep you up to date with this news, and if you've got any other information on this or any ideas of where he might end up, please let us know. more troubled water, Karl, and we just want to have a look at the Warrington situation right now. And you termed it as the wheels coming off at Wyre.
Well, yeah, if you ask a lot of Wyre fans, the wheels came off a long time ago. But it kind of all came to a head this weekend at Huddersfield. They were winning against Huddersfield 10-6, was it? I can't remember the exact score. I think it was 10-6. They were winning Huddersfield. And then spectacular fall from grace in the second half. George Flanagan run amok. And, they just didn't put in a performance in that second half. Sam Burgess he was in the post-game presser. He really ripped in. He wasn't happy. You could see his frustration. I've seen a few clips of that. I've seen a couple of interviews with Sky. He was angry after that game, how they played in that second half. Kind of almost saying, well, I don't think he kind of put it like that, but the fans are certainly saying the players aren't playing for the shirt. At the end of the day, they still had a chance of getting in the playoffs, and that performance was just unacceptable. And then what unfolded after that was players getting sort of abuse from the fans. They were booed off at full time. Some players were getting a bit of abuse from fans from the sideline. I mean, I'm only going on what I've seen on social media. I wasn't there. So, but then we had players stepping over the barriers and arguing back with the fans. Just really unsavoury scenes, really, and just something you don't want to see from any rugby league club. Lacked professionalism, but at the same time, there's a lot of tempers flaring there at the minute.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we looked at those clips, Danny Walker, Ben Curry holding him back and all that, and it's hard to kind of work out exactly what's being said and what is actually, what the frame of all that is. Yeah. It looks to me like Danny Walker is more defending himself, like he's Wyre through and through, and he's been there for years, developed from nothing really to this England, international at Wyre. So clearly loves the club. And like I said, we don't know. We know that rugby league fans can be harsh. We know that.
Oh, yeah,
God, we've seen some horrific stuff in the past. I'm not saying that's happened, but there was obviously a little bit of friction there. And I'd just like to know a little bit more about what was being said and what Danny Walker's take on this was, because, like I said, it weren't like we stood there offering people out for a big fight.
No. It was it looked like we were just arguing back at some of the stuff that were being said.
Yeah, and I think. Well, I mean, we get some. In fact, we'll come on to a few in a minute. We get some really harsh, sharp comments that cut deep sometimes. You know what I mean? And my take on it was Danny Walker just took a little bit of umbrance to a comment that was probably sharp and a little bit, a little bit scathing, and basically just put it on their toes and said, this is.
Where do you stand on the whole fans booing your home team?
Yeah, that's sport.
Think it's a lot. Should be able to happen.
Well, you'll never stop it, but that's sport, isn't it?
Yeah,
the thing is, you can't have. I'm a massive thing of you can't have one without the other, right? This is just fairness. You can't have all the cheering, all the singing, all the chanting, right? When it's all going well, and like none of the crap.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go well, you can't have it.
No.
This is just part and parcel. And actually. It's better to vocalise that. Imagine if you played your heart out, right? You lost, you were dog shit, all this kind of stuff, and the crowd said nothing. You'd be like, kid, this is bad.
Yeah.
This is bad. So, that's just sport. All sports, you'll get the booing. The swearing,
I think direct.
The personal attacks.
Yeah, personal attacks are just not on either.
Yeah, no, not on. I mean, I'm a bit different anyway. We recently went to a football game, and there were some fans there, and they were just trying to put the players off, but they were just it was just slating. You know what I mean? It weren't funny. It weren't. I don't think for a minute it was putting them off, because it was just that stupid. They were just ignoring it. The players were ignoring it, and it was just I'm not big on that. I don't think that should go on.
No. No, I think at the same time, I do think Warrington fans are within their rights to actually boo the team with the performances that they've served up this season. I know Warrington have had a lot of injuries this year. However, I think if we looked at that Warrington team, at the start of the season, with Sam Burgess in charge, taking into account the season that they'd had the year before, I think we expected a real good push for the playoffs, didn't we? Based on the team that they had.
Yeah.
Now, if you're paying your hard-earned money, and let's face it, we're in a bit of a squeeze, this country is, and people don't have a lot of extra cash. So if you're shelling out for like a season ticket,
and one of the 20 shirts, or
yeah, and you're getting served up rubbish on a weekend, I think fans are well within the rights to voice their opinions a little bit. Like I say, I don't agree with personal attacks, but Warrington, they've certainly had a pretty dreadful season. I think the problem with Warrington is it's probably like what we did at the start of the season. You build them up so much, and I think they do that themselves every season. It's like they really build themselves up to be title contenders, and then it seems to fall away, doesn't it, every year? And I think when you build yourself up so much, the fall from grace is a lot harder.
Well, I'll go a step further. The rest of Super League are basically waiting for this to happen. Because, we have this tagline of this is definitely our year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It happens every year, or it seems to. It happens every year. Everyone else around that club are just waiting for the wheels to come off so they can then say, oh, yeah, here we go again. The same old jokes come out. And that's what they're battling. It's just part of their identity. And it's a shame because it's a great club.
Yeah, it is a shame. I think what's annoyed a lot of fans this year is that they've not been performing the best. And then at the same time, there's been this underlying potential like the head coach potentially was going to go to another club. He was looking for another job. The captain was looking for another team. And although they've both settled down with where they're staying, it's not good luck, is it?
Well, I don't know if they were looking for another job. But
Sam Burgess was looking for another job. He applied for the Perth job. Well, if that's not looking, then I don't know what is. He didn't just get cherry-picked.
No, but I don't see George Williams sat having his cornflakes in the morning reading the Rugby League, job board. So, all right, okay, there's a player place here. Do you know, that's looking, isn't it? But if an opportunity comes along, if they're approached by a club, so say, right, we're putting this team together, Perth Bears, would you be interested in playing? That's different. I agree. Sam Burgess was on the lookout for a new job. 100% he was. And no wonder when you look at the finances that were, that's been banded around for that job. So I don't
blame
I don't question that, at all.
No, but when your team starts producing performances like they have,
well, it's
you can understand why the fans are sort of...
Yeah, and everyone, this reeks of it's a little bit like Brad Arthur in the past. I mean, the big changes came for Brad Arthur was when he committed to 12 months at Leeds Rhinos. When he was on the fence, everybody was just questioning whether he was actually loyal to the club or whether he was bought in and all that kind of stuff. And performances changed. I'm not saying that's exactly what it was, but it seemed to coincide, and that is a big coincidence. And it's probably at wire. Death by 1,000 cuts. There's probably loads of these little signals that A, the players aren't truly bought in, B, the coach hasn't truly bought in, and therefore the culture, something is going wrong. Add that to the fact that you've got on paper an incredible, impressive squad, star-studded, and they're not performing. Then you've got the likes of Dufty playing up and not turning up for training and other rumours that other journalists and all that kind of stuff are banding around as well. So
not us, no rumours started up by us.
I can't afford a liable case. So
what about Wires? You looked
Wires
at
Flyer?
No,
that's a rumour we started before.
Get him up wing. No, Warrington's Academy. You had a look at Warrington's Academy, didn't you?
Well, I saw they beat Huddersfield this week, which gives them 11 wins from 11 games. So Warrington's Academy is absolutely flying. What are you saying, Karl? Swap them out.
Well, there could be some diamonds in the rough there. Yeah, I mean,
they've got stars on the pitch.
At least that bodes well for future seasons if they've got an academy that's really performing well, and they can start bringing some of those. I mean, but Warrington have brought decent players through the academy system.
Mate, not even decent,
England internationals, yeah.
So it's a strange one. Wheels are definitely falling off.
Last question.
Yeah.
Is Sam Burgess going to be at Warrington next year?
No,
I
don't think so.
Oof.
I don't know who's going to be at Warrington next year. I think it's going to be a big clear out. If not, it needs to be a big clear out. Stephen Ratchford will still be there,
Yeah.
lacing up his boots, and he is. And Benny Westwood will still be doing crappy
videos,
skits in the kit shop and all that. But
and Wolfie will still be causing mayhem on sidelines. Yeah, they're the guarantees for Warrington.
They're the guaranteed. But I don't know. And to be honest, I think they need a big clear out. They need a reset. Need a hard reset. Turn it off 10 seconds. Turn it back on, and get this team sorted out again.
Make Warrington great again.
Yeah, yes, is that what it is? Mauga, whatever. Right, okay, can we move on?
Viewers mailbag.
So we're going to get into the viewers' mailbag, and we've got loads of interaction, loads of comments, which we love to bring up and highlight those during the show. And just a little reminder, this section of the show is sponsored by More Than a Game.
More Than a Game do bespoke pitch marking. They use robots to mark your pitch out, especially for community teams. And they also do sponsorship stencils. So if you want a sponsor on the side of your pitch, they'll come along, spray paint the sponsor on the side of the pitch. You can get money for the sponsor. That helps pay for the pitch marking. It's win-win for everybody. Professionally marked out pitches with sponsorships on there, and you get the sponsor to pay for it.
Yeah, so everything for the grassroots club. So and that's really important to us. Anyone that we partner with, they've got to have some kind of desire to improve the game at whatever level. Right, let's get into this viewers' mailbag. Couple of scathing ones here, Karl. Get your body armour on, mate. You've got
get my big boy pants on. I've already seen some of them. Somebody said I was as charismatic as a piece of wood on TikTok this week.
He knows you well. He must know you well. Right. So from the set of 6 last week, we picked out 3 comments. First one: no mouth hammocks. Right. Well, what was that? No mouth hammocks. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, he said politely, "This show is see ya." So yeah, saying the set of 6 is terrible last week, Karl. What's your reply to that?
Oh, did quite well last week. Views are going up, so
we can't please everyone, can you?
No, right. You can't please everyone.
Here we go. So Mrs. Lewis WS, great episode, guys. As a Salford fan, I can categorically say we do not deserve to be in Super League. I just wish everyone would think of how the fans are feeling. This is the lowest point in our 152-year-old history. So comments on that, Karl. This is obviously on the back of, we dig a bit of a deep dive into the Salford situation.
Yeah, I suppose we did a deep dive onto the Salford situation. We didn't really speak about the fans. We spoke more about the ownership group and just the problems that had been from the start of the season to the end of the season. But yeah, I've been there. I've been there as a fan of another team, and when it's not easy and it's not nice, and you keep turning up and paying your money to watch your team, and you're just getting dragged through the mud constantly like they have been all year. And I do feel for the Salford fans, and I like the fact that they've now got together and at least they're trying to force some answers from the ownership group and from everybody that's been involved, really. But yeah, no, I do feel for the Salford fans. Yeah,
and some comments from Andy Burnham. Obviously had a meeting with the owners of Salford this week and has been assured that this magical
don't say loan, the bridging loan again.
The bridging loan, the HMRC court case, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just the same old crap, innit? Karl, obviously you was talking about Bradford before. Do you remember how you felt when Bradford was docked those points? It was like 14 points one season, wasn't it? And they had their central funding taken off them as well, didn't they?
The other Super League clubs shared the central distribution amongst themselves.
Help yourself.
Yeah, it was a terrible
situation. It's like dishing out the quality streets and everyone nicking the purple
I can't remember
ones.
Which admin that was. I can't remember if it was admin 1 or number 2. I can't bloody remember, but it was crap. And I watched Stuart Fielding on the buy-round this week, and he was talking about it. And so obviously I think he just sort of left Bradford as the first admin had happened, and he told his story. He started working for the Bulls, as a lot of players did, on the phones, taking payments from people, and he had a young girl ring up who's like 8 years old or something, donating a pocket money. And he didn't feel comfortable taking it. Ended up speaking to her mum, and he sort of told her, "Look, I don't feel comfortable taking this pocket money off this little girl." And her mum said, "Look, Bradford Bulls is everything to her, and if they don't exist, She's going to be absolutely distraught, and I think that paints a picture of a lot of fans. I think sport does a lot for people, and I remember when Bradford were going in through that first admin. It was like it wasn't like we might even be in Championship, or we might not. The club might not have even survived, and all those people put all that money in, and all it did was pay off the directors' loans, and they're pissed off, and it was shocking, and. It's a similar thing with Salford fans. They all put money into the club when they bought into the club, but they never really got any say on the club or how the club was run. And I think if you'd have asked a lot of the Salford fans when they were having those highs of reaching the grand final and clearly spending way beyond the means, I think if you spoke to any Salford fan who said, well, you've got a choice, you can either go to the grand final, but in 2 years' time you might not exist, or the balance sheet is just, you keep an even balance sheet and the club continues to go. I think any Salford fan would just want the club to survive, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Mate, I'm nearly crying over here.
Why?
Story. Jesus Christ. Oh,
It's
really got really smoky in here, hasn't it?
Watch the buy round, mate.
Yeah, I will, mate. Yeah, I did see it because didn't they bring Willie Mason on as well?
The first 20 minutes, Willie Mason's on, and they talk about the.
What were they saying? What was they? We're completely off. Sorry, Mrs. Louise WS. We're completely off your comment, but I'm interested.
They just they basically said, look, it's all thrown out in the press, but actually, as players.
Yeah,
they don't really think too much about it. It's one of them incidents, happens on the field, game finishes, you shake hands. That is basically it. And I think Willie Mason was really pissed off when he came to Super League. He came to play for Hull KR, didn't he? Or with Catalan first, I can't remember. And he said that's all people ever spoke about. And he said he didn't care about it. He just wasn't interested. Funnily enough, he also said that Fielding said that a charity boxing match nearly took place.
Really?
Yeah, but the money just for Big Willie, we just want enough.
You do not want to get a clobber by any of them two.
Well, Fielding or Mason.
And that's what I'm saying.
Neither of
them. No.
Well, and you know what a peacock punch looks like? So he dropped Mason, didn't he? Yeah, it was infamous fight.
Yeah, 152-year-old history. It's too much. Too much had gone on with that club for it to just sort of all peter away now.
Yeah, 100%.
And we're not done in this situation. At some point, but I talked about the point stocking for Bradford. This is coming for Salford, isn't it? Whether it's the IMG, shake up or whatever.
But they haven't actually officially gone into administration, have they? It's a weird one. Because any other team.
Well, no, but they will do if the HMRC, if they don't produce £700,000 for HMRC, they will do. You know what I mean? It's just this is the problem with Salford. We've just drawn it out and drawn it out and drawn it out, and the RFL in some respects have helped with that by, paying.
Well, you've got to say that next season's not looking good for them either, have you?
No.
Well, even if they financially survive, let's say, if they're in the Championship next year, are they still going to get docked a load of points?
Yeah.
So they're in for it, and so this isn't ending anytime soon, is it?
No, it's not. And this is what I'm saying. So not only, and then even then, this is my opinion. And I don't know bugger all about it really, but this is just my opinion. Until 10 million quid drop into that club, this ain't getting sorted. Because, like I said, the ripples from this are going to be felt for years and years to come, and the only way to reduce those ripples is to throw cash at it, because you got to recruit a strong playing squad, you got to get all these debts cleared, you've got to be able to create a sustainable plan, sort out that stadium because that's just a real mess, and until all that happens, it just ain't getting fixed.
Can I throw something else out while we're talking about Salford?
Is it going to make me cry?
Probably not.
Right.
But I said last week to you, didn't I, when we were talking about Salford and their game got cancelled, and I said that game should have been played. They had academy players who and they spouted all this about it's player welfare and blah blah blah. Salford sold more players this week, and then still fielded a team. You tell me it was absolute horse shit, that was. They should have played last week. There was no excuse for them not playing.
Well,
no, they won't. They've sold more players this week. You can arguably say they've got a worse. They had a worse team this week than they did the week before. I know they brought in a load of loan players, but
But was it not more of a case of like players saying, right, we're not being paid, I'm not playing?
No.
And this has been going on all season.
No.
And now it was finally they were just like, no, definitely not playing.
No, the statement they put out was that.
Yeah, but that's the statement, isn't it? That might not be the truth. We know, you know what I mean? There is people put out some dog shit statements, don't they? Which is not a true reflection of what actually is
I don't believe it. I don't believe the players turned around last week and said, "Oh, we're not playing this game against Wakefield." Or, however, this week when we're playing against who did they play? Lee. Oh, we're available next week. Bullshit.
Why would you not play Wakey but you play Lee?
Oh well, there was a protest planned for the actual game. What all the fans had arranged. 100%. It was absolute stunk. That did.
The old viewers' mailbags turned into a right. Did he?
Right, I told you they should have played last week.
Yeah, you said right. Good, let's move on. Next one, Alan Metcalf. The final 14. Right, this is a really interesting comment. Stick with me. I'll just explain it. See what you take from this. The final 14 should be in Super League for the foreseeable future, as whoever wins the championship would still have a short time to prepare for Super League. Tough on some teams, as Newtown Jets in Australia. 14 Super League teams combine the Championship and League One. Right, so 14 Super League teams, combine the Championship and League One and have the Lancashire League and the Yorkshire League on the Australian model of New South Wales Cup and Queensland Cup. Only route through then to Super League would be expansion, as in creating new clubs.
So what are you doing with the teams that aren't in Yorkshire and Lancashire?
No, it's just called the Yorkshire League, isn't it?
With London in it. Come on. Yeah. And Whitehaven. And so the Workington.
Name, all right, so the name, whatever the name is, but think about like the model.
Right, so it's basically on about merging the League One and the Championship. Like, that idea's been thrown around anyway, hasn't it? Which we may well have next year, by the way.
Yeah, but the other thing is adding there is like you don't introduce. There's no promotion relegation for the Super League. The only way you can do that is to create a new club through the expansion, like franchise or whatever.
That's an interesting comment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is an interesting comment. I mean, it works in the NRL, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
That's what they do in the NRL. The sport has got a much bigger footprint. And
I read a good comment. I can't remember where it came from, but there was somebody said that like franchise clubs in the NRL, you'll have fans who'll support a franchise club that aren't necessarily from that area, whereas you've got you get some of these smaller clubs going up. Say, No,
the classic is Cass and Wakey.
Yeah,
merge. Who's supporting who? Nobody's supporting anybody because they have their own clubs, own history.
The point is, right, so let's take Castleford for an example. Castleford's fan base is never really going to grow much bigger than the Castleford town, is it? Than the fans that they already have. Whereas franchise models, you can grow a team a lot bigger. Yeah, it's. What do you think about that? Keeping that 14, then locking Super League up.
I think it only works same again if you're getting people through the door, through the gates, and it's making money. Much more significant TV deal, because otherwise you can have all these ideas of creating new teams, but if the funding's not there to do it, it ain't happening.
It's just the old promotion relegation franchise model argument going round again, isn't it? And I think fans are 50-50 split on it. Like some people think franchising's a good idea and build some really strong teams up, whereas other people just want the old traditional English up and down model. But we've seen promotion relegation, it doesn't really work in rugby league. So you don't have enough time to assemble a squad, do you? The player pool's probably is not big enough. You basically just end up with the team that gets relegated. A lot of those players jump ship and end up with going to the team that gets promoted. That's happened so many times. I'm in favour of franchising or certainly locking a league in and just growing. I'm in favour of the IMG model. I've said that to you before.
Yeah, I thought IMG were brilliant. It still is. So we'll see where we go from there. Right, moving on to a couple of comments from the predictions video then. Ben Parker, anyone going to discuss how good Wigan's medical staff are? And Zemba was knocked out in last year's grand final, comes back on. Dupree knocked out the weekend, came back on. Incredible. Is Sean Wayne conducting the HIA by any chance? The little cherry on that final sentence is a little cherry on the top there. But,
yeah.
I mean, it's right, isn't it? Like, you look at Tyler Dupree. I don't remember too much of the grand final knockout incident, but Tyler Dupree was out on his eyes rolled to the back of his head. He was gone. Jumped up like nothing happened. Incredible.
Junior was gone in the grand final.
Yeah.
Completely laid out. It was right at the start of the game.
I think it was right in front of us, weren't it?
No, it was the other end. It was the other end of it. Like, it was completely knocked out.
Complete side thing. Right. So I was on a ladder this weekend. I kept forgetting I was stood on top of a ladder. Honestly, I'm going to have to get my head checked for like CTE or whatever. But yeah, I was like, I forgot. I kept forgetting I was on top of the ladder. And I was like, whoa, what am I doing? What? Jeez, I'm on a ladder. What am I doing? Crazy. Anyway, so if I start going downhill now, Karl, can you tell them what's been going on? Oh, you think I've been going downhill a while?
Well... Let's move on.
Right, so what we're saying there, I mean, they were clearly knocked out. Funny old thing, came back on. So what is going on with his HIA?
I mean, we don't know, do we, what's going on?
He was out on the pitch. I know when someone's KO'd.
Yeah.
You know, he was gone. So what the freaking hell are they doing? What they're doing? They've gone on the day. I always remember...
That liable case is coming, mate.
It is. So I remember Jamie Peacock, he was telling a story when he was like... He was in one of the Ashes or something like that. Absolutely cleaned out. Right, or one of the grand finals. But anyway, whatever. See, my head's going. Right, and he said, I was absolutely cleaned out, but I said to the medical staff, I am not leaving this pitch. You know, you need to pass me fit. Right, and obviously they did. And they went on and won. Okay, but those days are gone, aren't they? Like, you just can't do it. Because players need protecting from themselves. And, they're definitely... Anyway, I think there's going to be eyes on this now.
Yeah, I do.
You know, and people will be watching this, so they need to kind of tighten up a little bit. Right, Paul Rigby, what?
It was a miracle at Old Trafford when Junior came back on. I'd never seen all like it.
Right. Paul Rigby, why does everyone make excuses up for the pie eaters? They are just like any other team. They are not the gods of the teams. And concerning Super League, the best club has been St Helens. But people like you always make excuses for Wigan. Stop making out they're the only team in Super League.
I don't think I make excuses for Wigan. Let me tell you, I ain't a Wigan fan.
No.
And neither are you.
No, I'm not a Saints fan either. And they're right, you know, I think I made a comment saying, you know, the most successful team in recent years.
Oh, that
right. We know that, you know, throughout throughout the Super League, St Helens have just been head and shoulders. Okay, but recent years, they've been untouchable. Right, I don't care what they say. When you look at like the derby, you know, the Good Friday derby, like there's been times when Wigan have been unplayable. Like they've been brilliant. So I get that.
They have a full trophy cabinet.
Yeah, and they won 4 trophies last year.
Yeah,
you know. So
I think that's probably why we hold them in quite high regard.
But I don't think it's making excuses. Like you look for reasons why they're not quite table topping, while they're not performing as they did last year. You know what I mean? I think you look for reasons, don't you? And in that, it may sound like we're making excuses. We're really not. Because like Karl said, we ain't pie eaters at all.
Nope.
You know. So, so that's that. Right. Right, Karl. Here we go. This idiot on the right talking about Rovers not winning the grand final is talking absolute shit. That was the most one-sided 10-6 I've seen in years. Obviously talking about the game against Wigan the week before. Rovers looking forward to beating Leeds and seeing this chump eat humble pie.
Oh.
Didn't age well, did it?
No, we get that comment as well. That it didn't age well all the time. Well, I stand by what I said. I didn't think Rovers were brilliant against Wigan. I thought they made a lot of errors, and they took it into last week's game against Leeds, and they got absolutely blasted by Leeds. So I don't want to be that guy who says told you so, but and we make a lot of shit predictions during the year as we do on this show, but I'm pretty sure I got that one pretty spot on.
Nice one. Right, let's move on to Tackle 5 then, Karl, and we've got a call in now, a phone interview with Keith of the GB Pioneers.
Right, Keith. I think I know we've had you on the show before, but we've had a lot of new listeners over the last sort of 12 months. So if you can just give us an idea what the GB Pioneers are for people who've not really heard of the team before.
Yeah, I suppose, straight into it. So, Student Pioneers, probably been going around, probably about 20 years now. I've sat down thinking about it the other day, but essentially think of it as a captain select / sort of a second tier performance bit where we use it a bit of maybe some basic talent ID for student rugby league players who've come in, probably converts, not quite good enough to get to sort of full grade stuff, but we get a lot of recommendations of coaches. But I suppose the primary aim and flag is supporting growth of rugby league really across Europe. So we work with the International Federation and sort of work with them in terms of their strategy across Europe. We've been to places like Greece, Ukraine. I think there was Estonia. Just recently went to Montenegro as well. So we'll help them obviously go up the sort of tier. So some of them be observer status. If some guys are familiar with rankings, and we go out to them, see what they're like, test their arm in terms of the playing, look at what their local infrastructure is like. And then, give some recommendations back, really, to the Federation from there. So, we've had some good stories, like Ghana would be one as well. So, that'll be pushing nearly eight years ago. They said, look, there's almost some sparks of rugby league there growing. So, can we go over, give them a go? Went over, did a couple of universities there, got the students involved, started to get some of their armed forces boys involved. And it's still continuing on to this day, really. And I think they've had a few uni teams going out as well. So spread the game, but strategically speaking, it's about that setup and getting them ready for the future, really.
Yeah, so Keith, it seems like it's been a successful program, really, overall. But how is it? How is it funded? Is it like RFL funded? Is it European rugby funded, or is it?
Hey, that's a good question, Karl. It's
right,
what funded's like at the moment. Yeah, it's a tight. It's just a tight space, and you know what? I think even post-COVID, it's not even tighter, but. It's always been self-funded. We do get a bit of support sometimes from the RFL, and we've probably got more in the past than what we did now. And then that's not like any sort of backhanded comment, but they'll support with the insurance bit, they'll support with some other areas, but ultimately it's all self-funded. The lads will fund it. Yeah. Some years we'll get a couple of sponsors involved. I think this year we managed to pull maybe 4 or 5 grand from sponsors across the board. But essentially the students pay it. So this year it's about $1,000 a piece for the lads. So that in itself, I think, is. You've got good players and lads wanting to go out and spread that name of the game as well with it. So, but
Keith, can we sort of have a look at this year's tour? Then where are you going? What's the plans? But also another thing that I'm interested in, like what kind of kit do you play in? Do you play in like a GB kit?
Yeah. So GB Lion. I suppose there's only a few GB Lion sort of kits knocking around now, if any, in World of Rugby. But a bit of a unique to it. So we try and get lads from England and Scotland and Wales to get sort of equal representation, best we can, obviously within the student game. So they've got to be current students playing in there. And then, so the kit every year, though, we do a bit of a unique design just for lads, really, just to keep it sort of fresh year on year. But we'll always incorporate all 4 colours. Obviously, the lion's head will always stay consistent throughout it. But playing kit, nice bit of training stash, again, colour schemed up and all that lot. So that's good. But this year we're heading out to Poland. So a bit of a unique-ish one this year because as plan is, it's like a bit of a 4-year strategy. So Montenegro last year with a view to hit Poland this year, which is a revisit. So we went to Poland maybe 14 years ago, just to see how, started off really there. So they were quite young, some of the lads. And obviously this year it's a bit of a revisit to see. Next year we're looking at the probably Czech Republic, Croatia sort of area.
All the decent stag do spots.
Well, apparently so, Karl. You'll have to fill me in, but apparently it's not bad for a couple of shandies around there. So, but then what we're doing on that sort of 4th year is a bit of a invitational tournament. So hopefully we'll get Montenegro representative team. There'll be Poland, there'll be one from probably Croatia, Czech, and then we'll just see how they fare against each of it. So it's almost think of it as Montenegro, you've got 3 years to build to this. Yeah. Poland, you've already had it as visit, you've got 2 years to build in. Then hopefully they might bring, we'd probably take a bit of a stronger squad that year, and hopefully they'll bring more players who maybe from Europe and a few other places in the country. So yeah, it just brings me back when we went to play Greece, when they were testing. They had a couple of Tier 1 Aussie NRL players come over for them.
All right.
So that was that was a different crack for the boys there. Yeah, but we had a strong squad then. Anyway, I say that there's one or two, sort of back end sort of players. But good experience for Greece as well. So if their other domestic players got to play with some nice players there. So that's the plan anyway, and strategy with it. So.
Well, no,
fingers crossed it works.
It's decent. You've got a plan and to help develop the game. I'm just really interested to know, out of the European nations, get me words out. Out of the European nations, which are the which one are the stronger ones that they've hosted?
Yeah, no, that's there's probably some of it going back to when I played a bit as well. There was some quite strong teams there. So Norway are really good. And actually the legacy there has gone quite well. So they have a really nice sort of 16, 17, 18 setup.
Yeah.
Going. I don't think it's quite fully gone into that open tier yet, as what we'd like to do. But there's definitely a strong base, and I think the plan there was, build the grassroots up from there. So Albania and Turkey randomly were really good. Albania were really good, really sort of passionate. The lads actually, considering they'd not played much, they were quite good on the field a few years back. But I think the thing with Europe is, in Eastern Europe especially, you get a lot of politics involved with it, and sport's not as readily available, I would say, like it is over here. I think people underestimate the opportunities they have with sport and stuff here compared to some of us there. So unfortunately, Albania's dipped a bit, but I think there's a plan there to keep them going or revisit in a few years' time. Turkey, they were really impressive, actually. I think they were in it to win it. They brought players in from all over to join. I remember thinking, all right, this is going to be a bit of a tastier one than what we had. Yeah, I think there was a bit of a few words exchanged at one point, shall we say, but we had to take a bit of a 5-minute break, I think. But again, you could tell the passion was there. So yeah, and not a shame, but Ukraine years ago, they had a fantastic infrastructure, really good support. Obviously, terrible what's happening over there at the moment, but they were really good to go. I mean, they are still playing and they are still touring at the moment. So a guy called Arthur, who runs it, I've seen he's still quite active, doing quite a lot with them. So quite a few, really. So bit of a mixed bag with Poland this year. We're not sure what to expect, but the Czechs and the Serbians and stuff tend to be quite good and quite strong with their setups.
Keith, just talk me through, like, how would one of the guys that's selected for the GB Pioneers, how do they find out? Is it like a formal letter inviting them to come along, or is there some other kind of announcement? Yeah,
it's a few different ways. So we've I suppose we say captain select. So what we'll get is you'll get some of the student rugby league rep coaches will recommend players. Again, probably not as active as what it was. Like Wales were great for it back in the day. They always used to send through, right, Keith, I've seen these players, I've picked these for the squad, but these ones I didn't get enough time to see. Could you take them out touring? They're good lads and they've got more to give. So pick a handful from there. Scotland, very similar. But then we'll get nominations from club coaches, tend to be. So I'll probably just speak to some of the coaches. They'll put players forward. I'm still coaching at Chef Hallam at the moment myself, sort of student club. So players I'll see. So I think, you're not quite in that top tier division, but you should be. So we've had some real success stories of players coming through the system there. Like actually, assistant, I'm digressing now, but Joe McLean was a good story. He was at Gloucester Union convert, played league for 2 or 3 years, took him on tour, was going to probably just casually play, but remember the guy was at Huddersfield Academy, Steve Hardesty, were coaching with us, and he said, oh no, come across, let's see what we can do. Anyway, ended up I think we're at Oxford Cavs or whatever at that point. We're a bit of a decent squad. Hunslet picked him up, and he ended up playing full grade Scotland in World Cup. So,
nice.
Quite a good one for that. So again, that's one bit, and then we've opened a bit of a nomination sort of system in the past year or two, so lads can put themselves forward and we vet them and reference check and stuff like that. So a bit of nominations from coaches or people involved with rugby. Other bit is a bit of a self-nomination or people who've seen them.
So, Kev, is there anybody you just want to give a bit of a mention to who's helped this project along over the last few years? Someone who's part of the backroom staff with you?
Oh, yeah. So Steve Curtis, he's at Hull Uni. I think me and him have been doing it for about, 15, 16 years now. So we're always at it. Obviously, he had kids a bit earlier than me, so time becomes tight. He's not toured for a few years, but it's always mad into it, helping us organise and sorting it out there. there's James Schmick this year, Poland. He's a Southern lad. Again, gives up a lot of his own time helping Poland out to set up there. And I can't forget John Piercy, Jed Keenan. If you ever come across those guys, they were lads who started it up really back in the day for a few years and almost handed the reins over then. But yeah, no, you know what? Loads of people. Like this year's squad, we've got a guy called Brent who's does some stuff at York Barbarians and sort of York Academy over there as well. So yeah, there's a lot of people involved over the years, I think, and you know, it's rugby league, isn't it? You know what I mean? A lot of people give up their own time and goodwill, I suppose.
Yeah,
to keep it going.
Look, Keith, wish you all the success with this. You know, it's a project that's quite close to our hearts, you know, growing the game across Europe and the UK, really. So is it all right if we catch up with you after the tour and just see how it's all gone down? Yeah,
100%. Yeah, that'll be great. We'll get one of the players on. He can give you a bit of a stories, I'm sure, and his experiences and stuff. So yeah, not a problem.
And then finally, Keith, if you just give us the dates and details when you're heading out there, when's your first couple of games, and where can people track the progress?
Yeah, so flying out on the 30th of this month, and it's about 9 days, so we come back on the 8th from there. So the plan is fly over, a couple of sessions in, and we're looking at 2 tour tests against Poland in 2 different cities, really. So one just outside Warsaw. I can't remember the name of the city now, but yeah, there. And then the second one is a place called Rouch, where there's a lot more activity, and that'll be the next Saturday. So we're hoping to get them streamed online. So if we do, Karl, we'll send you the link through, so hopefully you can share it around and see if guys want to watch it. But it tends to be on the International Federation Facebook page, and we'll share it around in our social media sort of handles as well.
Nice one. Cheers, Keith. Thanks for dialing in, mate.
Cheers, Keith. Take care. Amazing opportunities there for some of the students, Karl. They're literally students of the game and students in life as well.
Yeah, I love everything about the GB Pioneers project. I think it's giving students an opportunity to go to different countries, play rugby league, and it's just spreading the sport, isn't it? And they're doing so much for developing the sport in other countries, in other European nations. So, you know, hats off to all those guys that are involved in the GB Pioneers and who have been running it for years. I mean, only came on our radar the other year, didn't it? But I love to keep in touch with them and see how it's going.
Yeah, and that's off to them, because imagine putting a tour on to like places like this, Poland, you know, for 20-odd students, young rugby playing, like, you know what I mean? It'd be carnage, wouldn't it? We're actually putting a show together about like end of season tour stories and stuff like that. So anyway, so start lining up your funny stories, the ones that you can share. Obviously, we're gonna have a show dedicated to that later on, or in a couple of weeks as we approach the end of the Super League season. So yeah, good effort those guys, the GB Pioneers. Moving on to the Williams Weekly. This whole show feels like it's been a Williams Weekly. Anyway, what I want to talk about this week is a little bit of news announcing that Kevin Walters, the coach of the Kangaroos for the Ashes Tour, has suggested that, well, he's definitely said that he's going to choose Aussie players based in Super League as assistant coaches for the Ashes, right? Then you look at like the top Australian coaches towards the top of the table, and no surprises, he's mentioned Brad Arthur, Willie Peters and John Cartwright.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd just have a little chat now. Who do we think it will be? What would the benefits, what would the pros and cons be of those selection? Bearing in mind he could take 2, couldn't he? Couldn't take 2 coaches.
I think it's quite a smart move from him. I don't think, he don't want to take any Aussie-based coaches, does he, from their systems? Is it a good move for the likes of Brad Arthur, though, and John Cartwright? I'll throw that one back at you.
Well, it'd be great on a CV, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be amazing on a CV. In terms of their development, or...
Well, yeah.
The main Super League season will be done, won't it?
No, but it's a short off-season.
Yeah.
And I would have thought, if you're a Leeds fan, you want Brad Arthur to be focusing solely on Leeds Rhinos for next year.
100% you do.
So if he's then getting mixed up in the Aussie test squad for, let's face it, he's going to have to put a couple of months' worth of work into that.
I don't know how much work you'd have to do, actually.
No,
you'd like to think the Aussie squad could just turn up and just like kick off without any training, really. No, I'm not. Do you know what I mean? In essence, like their systems, they're fit, they're conditioned. Apart from gelling them as a team and a few little tweaks like team, how the team's going to move around the park and all that kind of thing. There's probably not a lot of coaching to be done there, is there? It's more like, in the actual training sessions, just overseeing it and facilitating those top professionals.
Yeah, I think he probably just wants somebody, who's based in the UK, can probably help out with like the best training facilities, where there should be training times and stuff like that. Do you think that's probably more to do with it?
Well, no.
Because
I think it's more like these three coaches have been studying British players week in, week out for at least the last 12 months. Willie Peters, many more months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's that intelligence that they bring. Now,
yeah,
the one you've got to question is Willie Peters, because there'll be a Hull KR players. There's not a lot of Leeds players I don't think are going to be in the squad. Jake Connor definitely admitted. Ash Handley injured, so whether he's going to feature now, I don't know. We don't know.
There's quite a lot of Leeds players in that squad, in the provisional squad.
The train-on squad?
Yeah,
I don't think they'll be there.
No.
Come the actual day of the Ashes. John, unless they get to the grand final and do really well there, but who knows? John Cartwright. There's no players in the England squad from Hull, is there?
Not currently.
Hull FC.
But I think the
Lewis Martin
might be.
potentially.
Lewis Martin maybe. Zach Hardacre maybe.
Yeah.
Certainly put the best foot forward, aren't they?
So Willie Peters would be the only one that would give him information on his own players.
Yeah.
Which is, I suppose, it is a bit of dodgy ground, but also not dodgy ground because he's a kangaroo through and through.
Yeah.
So, so that's like an interesting thing. So for me, if I was Kevin Waters, I'd be like, well, I definitely want Willie Peters because he just has an understanding of a bulk of, not a bulk, but large, like at least 3 or 4 players you'd expect to play across the whole squad.
Well, he'd have a good knowledge on the whole squad, really, don't he? Because take Hull KR out of the equation
but he'd have intimate knowledge of Mikey Lewis.
He's preparing a game plan every week to play against a Jake Connor, whoever makes the England team. So, yeah, it's a good point, really. It's probably a smart move from Australia.
Yeah, so I'd be looking at Willie Peters and either Brad Arthur or John Cartwright. Personally, I'd rather he chose John Cartwright from your comments earlier on, left Brad Arthur alone. But I think Brad Arthur, I think he isn't, an out-and-out kangaroo, wants to be back in Australia. I think anything else he can have on his... I think he's known for like 10 years at Parramatta, isn't he?
Yeah.
Brad Arthur.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
10 years Parramatta. Now he's at Leeds, yet to achieve anything of, like, pick up any silverware there.
Not yet, no.
Perhaps an assistant coach, even if it is just for one Ashes series, could be a little bit of depth to his CV. So I think something it'd be interesting in, perhaps.
You've also got to look at the fact that Kevin Walters is only going to be the head coach for the Ashes. So I think if you can get your foot in the door with Australia as an assistant coach, say it's good luck on your CV, and who knows what's going to happen a bit further down the line when they get to the World Cup announcement, who's going to be the head coach there. I suppose, if you have a good series with Australia as assistant coach, chance of putting yourself in the shop window, aren't you, really?
Well, especially if you're off contract at any other club, because you can't be a head coach at an NRL side either, can you? Or a Super League side. You've got to be, that's got to be your sole job. Is that right? It's definitely that in the UK.
Yeah.
I don't think John Cartwright's moving anytime soon. Brad Arthur, we know he could dip out as soon as the opportunity comes along, albeit he's signed a contract. But people finish these contracts early, don't they? So we'll see. Yeah, interesting one. Anyway, news is starting to trickle in about the Ashes. It's starting to warm up. We're even looking at doing a sole Ashes series. We're doing
2 weeks' time, we're going to have our first dedicated Ashes show, 100%.
Yeah, and in there we'll obviously give you the recent news, the upcoming, the news that's landing there and then, and also loads of... People call it predictions, we call it speculation. But, so loads on that as we grow to this Ashes series at the end of the year. Karl, any final afterburners to close down this show?
Yep, predictions episode is live on the channel at the minute. So if you haven't watched our predictions episode, go check that out for a load of how should we say it? Predictions based on I don't know.
A swag. This is what they call in the marine. Like a swag is a stupid wild ass guess. That's basically.
There you go.
That's basically how we do our predictions.
That's it. That's the prediction show. Yeah, check it out.
Okay, and as always, thank you to our partners and members of the show for helping us roll this out week in, week out. So until the next video, take care.